Good morning and welcome to our workshop on Primo accessibility. The title perhaps is a little misleading because we will talk about accessibility in the ADA sense of the word, but we'll also talk about customizations and user experience working with your Primo customization package, the configuration labels, and using analytics to figure out what your users are using so that you can improve your Primo for your users. So we'll go ahead and get going. I'm going to turn off my camera because sometimes if my husband is also in a meeting, our internet slows down just a little bit. So the first thing that I do want to share with you is Clarivate does have an excellent conformance report for Primo V, and really I literally just had it open. I love it when it does this. Well, at least we know now, right? Okay. Where is it? Okay. Here we go. And what makes this an excellent report is one of the things that I think is really helpful to talk about. You'll often find VPATs available for a product, and they just go through and they're like conformance level, supports. When it says that, that's really suspect. This is a good report because it clearly states how it doesn't support or why it only partially supports. And that can give you an opportunity through Primo customizations to potentially fix some of the accessibility errors. So I kind of scrolled through this, and as I am not an expert coder, there wasn't a lot that I saw that would necessarily be something easy to fix. But the resource recommender tool came up several times as a reason why it was not fully compliant with accessibility standards. So that's something to think about if you are using the resource recommender, which is the little box that pops up at the top of results. The other thing that popped up is the My Library Card page, and that there was hidden content, there were color and like color as a function kind of styling problems. So for the most part, however, the things that I noticed were not extremely significant, but they also weren't very fixable. One of the things that did come up, and so I have the instructions, is that if you're using the pre-filters, and I can pull up somebody who is on the basic search page. Does anyone know if you're using it? I'm just like randomly searching. Oh, cool. Here, okay. Okay. So here's an example of the pre-filters. So I do know that some people are using these, and the problem with these pre-filters is this. They are after the search button. So navigating them using a keyboard or screen reader is not going to be particularly accessible or logical. So here's an example, and I did not write the CSS, but here's an example of finding an accessibility gap, searching for that accessibility gap, and then finding someone else's solution. And in order to come up with this solution, the person who developed this figured out what elements, which CSS elements were these things, and then used things like order and z-index to manipulate the default display. And so like CSS is sometimes a solution, other times it can be in the HTML of the basic search box because there's they don't have a new search. Interesting. The no results page is another one, or the basic search homepage is another one where HTML or CSS decisions can really lead to accessibility issues. So this is a list of all of the different classes. Okay, come on, open. There we go. And selectors that might be used in a Primo page. And playing around with these can very quickly get complicated and can lead to crazy cool function, but also not great function. And so one of the things that can also come from trying to improve accessibility is creating display issues, because there's so much in Primo that kind of is hidden, and that you don't see in the code. And so again, this is something that I found from somebody else while I was looking into all of this. And this is a way to look at your Primo interface without any of the customization. So if we go here, and I'm going to go to like basic search, see what this returns if it breaks. Okay, so here we've got the home page, and I want to know like what it looks like without any of the CSS. Supposedly this little URL suffix will take it right back to the default. So here you can see their default HTML, the default Ex Libris colors, spacing, labels, all of it. So if you're having an issue anywhere in your Primo or your website and you're wondering if it has to do with CSS that you've put in, this is a really great way to do that. I want to try something because I know that Lake Washington uses a lot of customization, which is very cool, but sometimes when you're layering so many CSSs on top of each other, so they've got extra bolds and changes in sizes, changes in colors. So if we go and we add the no customization, we can now see right away what has been changed, and we can do a side by side. So this is a way too, if you really like somebody's style to see what they've done with CSS, because there are things that are CSS, and of course there are things that are in configuration within Primo. So you can see they've added bold, and they've done sizing changes. The CSS also pulls in the libkey links, which have the the journal covers. So the no customization is dropping the JavaScript and the CSS articles. I'm 92. Okay, so numbers aren't changing. Yeah. So that can be a very cool tool to see if it is your customization package that is messing with something, or if it's a Primo setting that you want to change. So the other thing that I could throw into this PowerPoint as far as resources, and it's not so much a PowerPoint as like a very broad outline, are the browser extensions for accessibility checking. I have used them before to show how your brand choices might be, very nice and pretty, but may not necessarily be helpful for folks with color blindness. And yeah, I'll send out the PowerPoint. I'll try and add notes to as we go. So so green blind, let's see what it why is it not but there's also the wave evaluation tool. And so these were this is one that I shared earlier, but this can tell you where there might be a contrast error for color. So if we it also shows redundant links. If you click on it, it shows us where it is, although I'm not seeing it. One of the accessibility notes in the Primo VE VPAT is that there is not alternative text for many of the icons, but they're also it's usually because the icon is paired with text and the icon is representation of that text. So this one can also have you help you look at how your page is structured. So if we look at the screen reader keyboard listing of things, we can see what is going to get read first using this. And this is where you can see that the filters would be getting read after the search button. So that's one. And then the other one that I really like is the accessible web helper. And because it's got multiple, so we can scan the page and it gives us a report. And this is saying that there are 3 serious elements. Let's turn this. Oop. Oh, wow. Straight HTML. Okay. Sorry, it was a little bit too much. Let's look at this one again. using the scanner. Okay, so now we don't have all those extra labels on there, and we can highlight. So we've got an issue with this, and it is because the controls are not nested. And we can see they have given us the code that you could try and fix. Whoop. We can also look at where the contrast is not good. It's the same button. I bet you it's this same button. So the personalization button is not great on this page. So then you can make the choice to use CSS to turn off that personalized option. And so then you might go in and do Primo v customization personalize button. And you can see if anybody has done anything. And this is CSU is where I got that cool no customization thing. So that's just an edit. Tips and tricks. They've got their customization here. So these directions might offer helpful clues in how to hide that. So this is actually custom JavaScript to hide a duplicate sign-in link. And we probably don't want JavaScript for that, but we might be able to find the element and say hide personalization. It might also be something that's in, well, I think it maybe used to be turn offable and now it's not. So this kind of deep work on whether or not Primo is accessible is not something that anyone is going to want to tackle on their own. However, if you're, looking for what might be an issue, you can find the low-hanging fruit and see how you might fix it. This one is, like the color contrast ratio is not good. That's a really easy one to fix. Clearly, this button has a tag that's not the same of these buttons, so the styling hasn't gotten matched. And the way that I can check that is I can right-click and do inspect. And now it's a really fun, okay, I've got to get it wide enough so I can see what it is that I'm searching for. Okay, so I'm looking for this, and as I go down, this stuff will eventually highlight smaller and smaller sections. And it's really fun digging through all of these. Let me get, okay, so it's in here. here. And here. Nope. Go back. Okay, so that, and then toolbar, and then this. Okay. And personalize results button, and then we have the button class. And this is where we find out that this button, the personalization button, is not part of the custom CSS that has been loaded, because it's not got the same class name as this. So if we went in and added this code for personalization button, the ID, to the CSS that is changing the contrast and size of all of these other ones, we would fix this. I don't want to go messing around in Lake Washington Tech's CSS. I do have an old version of it downloaded, and I can show you kind of an example. And this is like one of those things where if you're not comfortable doing it, don't do it. Because I'm happy to take a look, and then we can test things and not mess up your live version. Okay, let me see. Okay, so here's what their CSS looks like. So we have a lot of the button classes included, but not that personalization button. And to figure out exactly where that would go would take a little bit of time. So theirs is by far the longest CSS file. Also, I've looked at pretty much everybody's, and yeah. So, but yeah, so you can see how possible it is to get very excited about customization using CSS and then have it potentially go very wrong or be hard to keep up to date because Alma adds things all the time, Alma and Primo. So when there are issues, using right click to inspect can help you find the tag or the ID of the thing that is the problem, and can give you some place to start on fixing it. So that was kind of a lot. And I'm wondering if there's anything from, like thinking about your CSS, or if any of you followed along and like did a quick scan of your page and found something like contrast or text size that was picked up by an accessibility report that you are interested in taking a look at, because I really kind of envisioned this as a 3-hour opportunity to like talk about a way into a problem, find someone's problem and see if we couldn't fix it. And this was the first kind of very basic accessibility, not like making it pretty. If you are trying to download your customization file and then open it and look at it, and you're wondering why it doesn't have these nice colored labels, I use Visual Studio Code to open code files because it will also highlight problems with the, like with parentheses and brackets and colons and semicolon, like it'll tell you when something isn't gonna work right. So if you've got the right file type. You can also use Notepad++ to open CSS, JavaScript, and HTML files. And Notepad++ can be installed without admin approval. It's one of those ones that can live on the higher user level of a computer. I can't remember if Visual Studio Code can or not. It's been so long. Okay, so the next section that I wanted to talk about are different ways that you can get customization ideas and code and see how people have used it. And so I've just got like a bunch of links in here, and one of the things that I think it's always good is to just see what a lot of people are doing. But if you're like, well, I don't know what I want to share, then you may want to come up with some kind of testing plan. And this one is kind of a great outline of what usability testing can look like. And so it's pretty detailed, and you might not need all of that, but it can, like we've just discussed in my documentation stuff, kind of keep you focused. So if there are changes that are recommended by, the larger group, if I, like came out with something like that, it's not work that we've done so far, or are these changes that have been asked for by staff or students? Now, when they're moved into production and who is involved, like this kind of stuff, if you're a 1-person or 2-person shop, might not need to be terribly detailed. But knowing things like who will test the change and where it will be tested, whether it's a significant enough change that you need to use one of the Primo sandboxes, or if it is something you can do in a test view of your own local Primo, is good. I also like that this list has, here, I'll put the link in chat. This list has the different like checklists of tested on this browser and tested on an iPhone and, like tested on an Android device, staff PCs, so like this is a really good list of reminder of where to check. And then keeping a list of any issues that you see. And then how significant is the issue? I think this is another kind of like good checklist when you're making changes to customizations. Is this someone doesn't like the color, or now, a keyboard can't navigate the page? So again, this was such a good, and right here, run it through Wave. Check color contrast, alternative text. Here's some other ones that they've got. And so this is a great resource to be like, if I'm going to make a change, how am I going to track that change? And it's a good transparency for the entire team as well. Now, I was going to, what was, that's that. Oh, right. Okay, sorry. I remembered. Okay. So you have a plan of how you're going to test any changes, and you're trying to figure out what changes you might want to make. If you don't have access to user testing or a lot of time, but you know that you want to give your Primo a refresh, I highly recommend taking a look at your Primo analytics. So I have put together a few reports, which we can totally tweak today for what people like, and then I'll put them in the shared folder. Um, and this is, I believe that these reports can show you generally user behavior, which can tell you all kinds of things like, do they need more instruction? But it also gives you places where you can streamline um, your Primo, which is going to help everybody, and it's going to help with accessibility if you don't have like a million extra things on the page. So if you go to analytics and access analytics, there should be an access analytics Primo. And at the current time, unfortunately, there are not any reports or visualizations that show a single user's path. Some folks are kind of working on that, but you can look at what actions are used, what facets get used, and like then within the facet groups, which of the facets get used. And I think that's a really great place to look, because I know that sometimes it's very attractive to try and give people all the options for filtering their results, or maybe you just never changed it from default of what was available, or maybe someone like was like, no, we must have all the facets. So I this is Big Bend, and so here we can see, that's not a good visualization. Oh well. So here we can see, we could look at things by year. So this last year, which are getting used. We could also just see, just change this. I'm gonna edit this view. This is a terrible table. I thought I fixed it. I probably didn't save when I made the pivot table. Mini analytics lesson. Okay, so here we can see the year, the facets by alphabetical, and how many times each one was used. And we can see that the top level facet, which is availability, and we can just go and look at it too, so you've got it. So this is the top level one. So if we look here, that was used a lot this year already, all across the board. Resource type was used a lot, especially by faculty who were actually logged in, and our topic was used a lot. So if we look at this, we can see those are the top 3 ones, and that is great. But then we still have author, creation date, library, collection, language, journal title, and new records, and these are all expanded. And probably if we look, the new records filter is barely getting used. The library filter, I mean, there's really only one library at Big Bend anyway. The journal selector is not getting used, which is not really surprising because I don't feel like that's terribly accurate. So knowing which ones are getting used can give you an opportunity to go in and change which ones are visible. And it also gives you the evidence to tell anyone who might question it, like why you're doing that. And it also allows you to have a test. And this is one where the facets that are visible, that is a setting at the configuration level. So if you wanted to test out or kind of preview what it would look like with fewer facets, you would need to use the sandbox. We've also,
Hey, Kaylee.
Carly, yeah.
I'm sorry, Carly.
No, no worries.
Sorry, I know too many Kayleys in my life. Um, just to clarify, when we go to analytics, it's called topics, but in our menu bar, it's equating that to subjects.
Yes, and that is because of what the discovery labels are called. So, if we look for the description and we call this topic, I think, see if I can find it. So I think it's
So tell me the bad news. That is the default topics, and as good librarians, we went in and changed it to subject.
oh no. I think topic is the code.
Okay.
It's just the code, and that is what analytics pulls. But where? Let's look at the description and see if it's in here. But you can actually name it anything you want. So this isn't the one. It's not ARIA labels. Where is it? Yeah, this is one where that's one that often gets customized, because tweak my results is people often customize expand my results to say, like, show items not at your institution. I know it's got to be in here somewhere. Yeah, so there are a lot of these codes. These codes are what end up telling the customization package, the JS and the CSS, what to display in the web page. And if you can find the right code and then figure out which code table it's in under discovery labels, then you can customize that. And oh, this is so annoying. We know it's in here. I literally searched topic, did I not? And it said it was in there. Okay, description. Okay, it's in the description. So now we're going to do description. So that's not it. Yeah, so these are really fun, but but I would not, if you call yours subject, I think most people do, although I do know some libraries that have changed that to say subject area or topic area or like, yeah, or yeah, I don't know. But I think subject is pretty much what everybody just calls it. But because the code is topic, that's what gets pulled into analytics. We do have sandboxes for Primo VE. Turns out that that was something that should have gotten added to our sandbox environments when we migrated to Primo VE. And it is available in 2 of our 3 sandboxes that have been updated. And the third one, I'm going to ask for that refresh probably here in the next week or so that it can be done before school starts. And then all 3 of our sandboxes will have a quote unquote Primo sandbox. It's not really a Primo sandbox, it's a Primo for the sandbox, but so you can mess around with Primo stuff. So yeah, so availability facet usage. So in those different facets, that top level is availability. And so if we take a look at this one, we can see what people are looking for and what the trend has been. And you can see, okay, well, people aren't really using the open access facet here. I don't know, like good, bad, not sure what to take from that, but it is something to kind of note. You can also look at what resource types are actually getting selected. So I sorted by like the full last calendar year. And when people are trying to filter results, they are looking for articles, ebooks, newspaper, videos, book chapters, but then you can see all these other ones. Like it's a pretty steep drop off after the top 5. And that's probably because the resource type facet is listed by the like prevalence of that resource type in your results. And you can set the number of top facet types that are included. So we could change this to top 3. We could change it to top 4. You could also do view all, which I wouldn't recommend. The same with subject. So these are all set. So Big Bend has it set to view the top 5 under each facet. Now, for author creator, that gets pretty silly because out of, over 200,000 results, the most, you know, common creator is BBC. And that is not necessarily helpful because it's listed two different ways. And I bet if we went show more, it's, even more. Um, this is basically a redundant choice because saying it's in the library is the same as doing held by library. These collections are terrible and not accurate, and I don't recommend them. Language is nice. However, it's going to be set to show the top 5, which, most people aren't looking for something that's not in English, unless, and if they are, they may be more likely to use the advanced search. So yeah, so we can see like, yeah, the top 5 that are visible most of the time are the ones that are getting used. And limited use of some of these other ones. So is it even worth having the show more? What else in here? We've got also the Primo actions. So this is another one that's really interesting. I used some bins to like make this list not quite as long. But you can see what people clicked on in Primo. So they clicked a lot back to basic search. They clicked a lot on a display of full record. So like here, clicked on the title. We only get about 10% of people clicking on advanced search. Next page. Yeah, sure. Resource recommender is showing up. We only put this in midway through the year, but like it's been showing up because that's the resource recommender is set to show up for everything. But if you had different ones, citation tools are not getting used that much. And actually the percentage is most definitely going down. So people are using citation tools less and less. They are finding full text more. I'm hoping, like by the end of 2024, we'd get, more of that. People don't sign in very much at Big Bend. They're not using the pre-filters a lot. But then you can also see like way down at the bottom what's like really, really not getting used. They're not sorting, they're not sending, they're not checking reference trails or citation trails. They're not, yeah, so like you can kind of then see, okay, well, is there anything here that it we could get rid of? So like no one's using personalized results. It's not very prevalent. So you can kind of use analytics to give direction to changes for Primo. So if we go into a full record and it's like no one is sending to email, maybe you decide to get rid of this. We could look and see how many people are, exporting to RIS or Well, there's BibTeX. Okay, 3460. Okay, so that's getting used. EasyBib getting used. RIS export 6 times this year so far. RefWorks, not so much getting used. QR code, not really getting used. And like, yes, perhaps, well, somebody used it. We should keep it. But also, this is a lot of buttons. And if people need the citation, they're probably mostly using that citation button, which, see if I can find that one. Well, there's the permalink. Yeah, so here's the citation button. So the citation button is getting used tremendously compared to something like email result or export to BibTeX. 44 to BibTeX versus 774 using the citation tool to copy it. So and then you're like, okay, well, maybe we don't have that. We don't need it. And then it's not as confusing for a student who might not understand all of those things. Or maybe just knowing which one gets used the most, you decide to change the order that these are in. So if we wanted to do that, we can go into Discovery, Configure Views. I'll use my testing one. And it is under. So here's where we can turn these off or change the order of them. So maybe I want to get rid of. And no one is using that favorites thing. Come on. So email was set for upfront, and yet it is not. Where the permalink is actually used more than email. So I'm going to put permalink and citation. Now I'm going to go back, and now we can view this guy compared to. And now if I click here, now we have just these 5. Much easier to navigate. If we use the wave evaluation tool and we see the order. Oh, that's funny. No. We've eliminated a ton of things. Versus all of that. So yeah, so I think that using analytics to look at what users are using is a good way to improve user experience, but then by removing, you know, extra stuff that a screen reader or a keyboard has to navigate through is going to be helpful for everybody. Um, so, um, so yeah, that this is kind of my all I have for content, and then I wanted to like dig into like how do we, make our primos look nicer. I know Linda, you look at UWs uh somewhat frequently, and they have quite a few uh crazy um CSS going on. No, this is to make things look nice. So they've got their boxes, high contrast, lots of color change with hover. Um, they do the top 5 resource types, but see, then these are defaulted to collapse, not to be open, so they're still available. But I bet you they looked at their filter usage and decided that these were like the most commonly used, and so those are the ones that are defaulted to be expanded. They have also made the exclude this visible at all times, whereas if you have that activated, it's usually visible only on hover. So here, so exclude articles, but UW has made theirs so it's all the time. They've also made it like right aligned, so it like fills that box that they have really nicely, as opposed to which, you know, um, they have they've kept the default style for like bold um on their availability statement, but one things that I've seen is especially folks with only one library, um they bold the physical location as, and so it stands out more than the library name, because if you only have one library, like um not a big deal. What else have they done? They've definitely made the title larger and more bold. You can tell they're using libkey links. And they've given them the purple styling that um, matches their CSS, although the Alma link resolver is still in this default. So a lot of their CSS is in their facets here. And if we wanted to check out what was going on, we could go to this and Okay, so it's all in here, and now we can see where the different CSS is coming from. And the app CSS is the um, inherited from Primo V. And so it says, like app file type and then the line. But up here is the custom CSS. And now we can get this file and save it. Sure. And open it. And now we can see all of their CSS and what's going on here. So they have this commented out, so whatever it was, they didn't really like it. Got a lot of the link stuff. So then if we're like, well, this is a lot of lines and I don't know what to change on here, let's find what this tag is. We're going to go back to elements and these are so this is something in facet group. So now if I click in here and do facet group, there it is. So it's the border and there's the button. So this is how they make that solid button. So if you wanted, and they've done a lovely job of adding comments. So now we can, like, if you wanted all of this, you could take it and play with it and like change the color, because you don't want UW purple. Here's more of the expand collapse. So we've got a lot of coding having to do with the facet group. So you could copy all of this and see what it does to your view by uploading it to a test view. But this is where it's like, make sure you don't do it in your normal view. But it's just a lot of kind of messing with stuff. I don't know, Linda, you really like UW. You want to like add their facet group code to a test view of your guys's?
Absolutely, sure.
Cool. Yay. I got, you gotta give me something to do to show you guys. Okay. So let's go. I'm gonna close out of this. And we'll go into Lower Columbia. Discovery, configure views, and which one do you care if I mess with?
You can mess with mine.
Just this top one?
Yeah.
Okay. So now we go to manage customization package, and it is possible to do this in Studio, but because I'm copying and pasting things in the windows in the Studio are really small. So then we'll extract. Okay, so now I'm going to go into CSS, and here it is, and there's, not a lot in here. And now we've got, let me close stuff just because there's, okay, so here's UWs, and if we just start where the facet group stuff starts, and I'm just gonna take it all. Here's the always show exclude button, reduce line spacing, highlight color. That's a multi-select. These are all commented out, but publication range. I think that's publication range. Okay. Let's see. And we just, I'm gonna throw this in at the end and save. And then so I've got this new CSS that I just edited. Now I'm gonna recompress and choose this. And save. And let's see what we broke. Oh, so I must have missed the coding that keeps the exclude button on the right, but that's not terrible. And clearly they have some coding about their sort by. So they have a bold, they've upped that size. But what's interesting is, okay, there we go. It's like, yeah, it's not terrible for just janking somebody's CSS. Because then you can see like, okay, well, I want all of these to be this color. Okay, maybe you want that. So then you're like, well, I don't want to go searching through my CSS to figure that out. So let's see where that is. Probably this one, search bar background color. So then I'm going to just copy this. And now we can go here, and in this one, we're going to find that purple here. And what's cool is if you highlight this, yes, no, and then we can, no, hey. Should be able to click on this and change all of them. Oops. Wow, don't mind me. Okay. Is there more of that purple? Yeah, because if you change this, okay, apparently the values aren't the same. Okay. There. I could do hold on. And replace with excellent. Place all. Oh, that was the only 2 places. I already did it. All right, so now we know that there's something about the exclude that we didn't grab. And I could have sworn I grabbed this, but I'm gonna copy it again and see. What was it called? It was called the MD. Okay, exclude facet icon. So search. Okay, so I didn't copy it. So we'll copy this. And what's great about CSS, it doesn't have to be in order. Okay, so we'll do that. And now delete this one. Okay. Because we already saved that. And now we'll compress it again. And now we'll go here and we'll upload it again and we'll see if we fixed it. Let's try a full. Well, we got the space, so at least now it's not overlapping. But it's still not quite working. So we're clearly missing another line. But you see we now have the lower Columbia colors. We've got these, we've got the nice hover over highlights. But we still have the same visibility of facets, because that is in this one. So now I'm like, you know what? I hate collection. And journal titles, not useful for most people. Neither is creator. We only have one location. I do want top 5 topics. I want the languages. And we're not messing around with course, so I'm just going to turn these off. So, and then resource type, I only want to display 4 resource types. And, but you know what? I'm going to up this to 6, just for the fun of it. I also want topic to be higher, because we're going to say people really use that a lot. Okay, now we've got okay. And let's check it out. So now on the left side, we've got availability, got source type, we've got the top 6 subjects, top 4 source types, which matches the number of availability. We've got our creation date, and we've got language. We no longer have collection or journal. So, you know, like some of these things are just at the view level, so it's really easy to kind of just mess around with them. I really want to figure out the exclude on the right. So let's go back to this. And nothing. Okay, so it actually was 2 things. So we want to add this to the end of this one. Linda, got any other fun things you want me to change while we're in here?
I don't know if this is an easy customization or not, but we were talking about making item records, the titles bold to really pop out.
Oh yeah,
Something we
that's
can
an
do.
easy
Yay.
one. Yeah, so
I thought so.
these
Yes.
like the title bigger,
Yes.
basically. Okay, so let's take a look. Yeah, so they've got these pretty big. Let's see what the tag on that is. Okay, so that is item title. So now we're going to go in here and I'm going to search in theirs for item title. So this is their focus and their hover and all of the things. It's not all of them, but we'll start with this one. Throw this at the bottom. Let's see what else they've got. That's a color tag. That's in citation trail. These are in These are permalinks. Let's see what they've got this described as. Yeah, I feel like adding that might be a mistake, so I'm gonna leave those alone. That's commented out, and that's the one I already took. Okay, so let's save, and then we want the color to be probably your nice navy. Where'd it go? Okay. So what we're seeing here is that the whole span should inherit the color. It's happening in brief result. There's a hover. We've got a title has an outline. Oh, the focus has an outline. Color cursors. So I don't see anything about size on here, so we're gonna see what happens. I'm not sure if it'll get bigger or not. But we just delete the old one. I resaved this, so I'm gonna recompress it. Go here, upload it again. Okay. And let's see what we've got. Let me try. Sometimes when you're changing stuff, it doesn't want to load right away. So I did a shift reload, and you saw it changed the color of the title, which is quite nice. I like that. But it's not bigger like UW's. So there's still something that we're missing in their CSS that we don't. I'm gonna log out of this before it gets mad at me because I'm not in. Yeah, I was like, it's already mad at me. Okay, so let's see what else it might be. Just like grouped with. Okay. So it's definitely that's all about color. Color. That's not a font size that's getting used. Okay, so that's not it. It might be in here. Okay, do it the other way, and that is to check in their CSS, and we're going to look for font size. Okay, so we've got citation trail. Okay, and alerts, and alerts, and a help widget, and help, and help, help, local help. That's the font size for facets. So we're definitely getting closer. And we okay, this is a heading 2. And the thing is, even if we took this element of homepage campus is not one that is, it's probably a local tag because UW has multiple campuses. So, and this color doesn't match. That might not be it either. ILL link, local note, buttons, maybe navigation item, button, button. Hmm. 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 Oops. So this is interesting. Nope, stop it. I just. Okay, so. It's saying that it's coming from the item title span. Line 735. Color inherit. Yep. We put all of this into the Lake Washington one, if I am not mistaken. Yep. Okay, so 738 we have. 427. I don't think we have that one. So let's take a look at that one. Okay, so we have titles grid, title header. Okay, so we've got color in here, a bunch of class stuff. So this one's okay, background color. So since this one is kind of crazy and a lot, one of the things you can do is find someone else's with a large, a bigger title font. So maybe Lake Washington, I think, has upped the size of their titles. And we'll see what their CSS is. Yeah, so they have it too. So let's see, I've got theirs somewhere. Okay, so now this is Lake Washington's, and we are looking for Okay, font size. So they have neutralize button as link. So this might be it, because if, as you can see, there's this PRM authentication MD button. And if we look at, if we inspect this, we are getting PRM highlight. Item title. Okay, where does theirs say it is? Okay, so it's their heading 3. But why is, how are they changing it? How? Let's look for H3. Oh, I lost the highlight. Okay, so that's color. So this is telling the style sheet what things get the style of heading 3, because we can see there. Okay, so then we will see the problem solving at work. Clearly people have done this. It can't be that complicated. So we're going to do a Primo VE customization, increase title size. And might be in there. Well, this is all things I know. Let's add CSS to this search. Let's add the tag. I do wonder if this is one that we might try the Primo Studio on. So let's play around with that. So when you go into Primo Studio, we need to upload the package that we want to work on, which is this latest one, and upload. And now we can use Primo like we would and figure out. So now we're on the page. Got the theme, images, icons, add-ons. No. Okay, so we want to edit. No. You can't search. Yeah, I don't like these. I could. Try. Okay, so we're finding all of it. Title, grid, title, 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 title. Like, ah, okay, well, okay, I don't care about that. So I don't want to put this into the actual CSS file that I'm using, but we can test it in the studio and see what happens. Nothing, so I don't want to keep that. I think it changed the link color. Oh, that's let's see what it does it change it? Yeah, so that changed some of the text colors, but it didn't change the size. So that's one that I would kind of keep digging for. Same with the alignment of these buttons. Because but you know, we were able to add the facets boxes that Linda's been talking about for a while. So anyway, it's 11:30. This is scheduled till 12:30, but maybe we take like a 5-minute bio break and give you a chance to consider if there's anything you would like to explore in your own Primo that we can play around with. And we'll make it 6 minutes, return at 11:20. Sound good? All right, I'm gonna pause the recording as well. If I can find the. All right. Okay, so I added more of the UW CSS and swapped out the purple for the navy, resaved, and I'm re-exporting, compressing, and I'm going to try one more time. And then we'll see if there's something you guys would like to take a look at in your own environments. And we'll do one force reload. Is that bigger? That looks bigger. It's not as big as Lake Washington's because I didn't take it from Lake Washington's. I take it from UW's. Let's see what Lower Columbia's looks like normally. And we'll do a little compare with the changes that we've made. No, it's not bigger. Changed some spacing. Changed the header to purple. So it did increase the general record size, which is nice.
I'm just going to chime in and say, I think the sidebar that you created, I think for whatever reason, I think it draws the eye to the titles because there's that continuity, that sidebar, it makes the titles pop.
I think so too. I also like that the color, like this is the standard Alma teal, and changing it to the navy, getting that higher contrast is great.
I agree.
So, but yeah. Well, anyway, we can stop playing in Lower Columbia's if someone has something in their environment that you'd like to take a look at. I'd be happy to kind of dig in. We could also take a look at some of the primos that we reviewed a few months ago during an open call, and take a look at those for ideas. Oh yeah, okay. So getting rid of the export bib text and export RISS. I am assuming you mean. Wow. In the full record here under the tools.
Yes.
Okay. This is an easy one. So, if we go into yours, and discovery, configure views, I'll do the test so that we're not messing with your live version, but I think you'll like it. And then it's not brief record display, and you can just get rid of those guys. And now if we go to this view, Here we go.
Ooh, I like it.
So yeah, I really like how you guys have the call number highlighted,
Mhm.
to
And I
make
do
it.
think we want to change the color and maybe boldness of the titles as well.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
To get them to match.
yeah, something just and to make them stand out because it just kind of gets everything gets lost.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I don't know like what color we want to do. We'd have to do some consulting with others.
Yeah, one of the things that I will share as a tip is the colleges are often like, well, you have to use our colors and blah 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 blah. You can kind of get around that by saying, well, this is an internal communication tool because it's our library catalog for our students. Now, every good librarian knows that hopefully, your catalog is looked at by lots of people who may not be your explicit users. But it can allow you to so this red looks great in, like in bulk, but it might not look great just as text. You might need to skew it a little darker to get good contrast or something. And so by kind of, better to ask forgiveness and permission and when it comes to people too, and branding. But so you may need to kind of play with your brand colors to get good contrast because your brand
They'd never
people,
know. They'd never
right?
know.
Yeah, it's so rare that they would be looking in the catalog and be able to tell the difference on something like that. One of the things that I did was I also looked at when I was doing this kind of stuff, like as far as like link colors, I simultaneously looked at the link colors in LibGuides so that the user experience was the same. Because you can, change your links. And if all of your links are like a nice dark red in Primo, make all of your links a nice dark red in LibGuides. So, yeah, I really want to find the item title
Hey,
size.
Carly,
Mhm.
while we're talking about colors, don't both the green and the red pose difficulties for people with color blindness issues?
So,
Oh, okay.
we can. Okay, why is this not running? I want to run it. That's not. We can do it through Wave too. So okay, that's good. No contrast. Maybe it's not on Wave. Maybe it's accessible help checker. There we go. That's no. There's some other. So the thing with red green color blind check or website is that it just takes the color away. So if the contrast, so like this light green of available at is not really that much darker than the gray of the background. The red is actually darker than the background. So if someone has red green color blindness, the location should still show up pretty nicely, but this light blue and the light green that's the default for Alma might not show up as well. Let's see if we can't find a better one. Well, I could do it. So, okay, let me nip. And we'll just snip here. And let's see what it looks like. Just save it in desktop. There we go. And close, and then we'll go here and close, and we'll just file and so now you can see still got decent contrast. Okay, contrast. Okay, contrast.
Can you redo the screenshot without the highlighting?
Yeah. That was a little bit weird. My snip. Also make it a little smaller so we can actually okay, so it's not too bad. I don't know what this this one with green blind, things run together a little bit. But even with blue blind, the green pops out enough. But I mean, like the brand color of the red does a pretty good job with contrast, regardless of the visual impairment. So, oop. Yeah, color blindness, usually decent contrast will help with like any kind of visual impairment like that, without needing to specifically change the colors. Here, let me find that list of like really cool Primo views that we had. Okay, so many windows open. Okay, so earlier this year, we took a look at Primo homepages as well as their search pages. And homepages are a lot of HTML because all the boxes and embedded footers and everything are all HTML. The results pages, though, we looked at Liège, because the guy who does their Primo is kind of a rock star. And you can see they've actually kept a lot of it pretty default. But it would be interesting to take a look at it more closely. Again, this one is pretty default. Here we see underlined titles, which kind of make the titles pop more. So that might be something to add instead of like trying to get the size. And that might give us a clue too to what tag it is. Here we have someone who's put the the facets on the right. Here's UWs. Here's another one on the right. This one is kind of terrible with the orange. Like this is an example of just because it's a brand color or a campus color doesn't mean it should be used. Like that is terrible readability. Here's a more simple like facets given a box to be in. It's not quite as eye-catching as the UW one. But I think it's a very nice option. Here's one with the exclude results, exclude facet showing all the time. And with it going to the right. Here's an example of some like the keeping facets compressed. Tidewater did a little bit to change link colors. And then item record pop-ups. Here's one where the view it is moved to on top of the send it, which is I know something that Abby has been looking at for Whatcom. And here it is in that Welsh school as well, where the view online is above the send it. And that one's actually a pretty easy thing. So if you go in and in the brief, nope, it must be the full record services, you can move view it up. What does yours look like in? So your tools are still above the get it. So why is that happening? So that must be somewhere in the CSS for switching those, because you can do some switching, obviously. Sorry, my dog is, come here. Okay, hi. But let's take a look at, let's go look at Brown's. Yeah, let's go here and steal their CSS and see what it's doing. Well, now it's got sent. That's not the one. I was like, what up? Okay, whatever. Okay, so they have their view online first, and then report a problem, and then the send to. So let's inspect And because it's a weird pop-up, it's gonna, ooh, okay. Some JS. Yeah, so you can see like, okay, get down, dog. You've got a style of, hmm. Oh, I was like, why does this look so different? Because I hit the wrong button. Okay, so this is all gonna be in their whole page in the ordering. And so if we click on this and then see what have they got? Okay, let's see. Custom theme. Okay, let's Google. Because I know people have talked about this one. Wait, it's called the full record services order. And let's see what Carly has to say about this. Nope. Mm. Okay, they've got theirs. It should be discovery. Isn't that where we're at? Okay. Who else might have this? Maybe just services order? Okay, the general electronic services order page. I don't think that's it, but because that has to do but we'll check. So discovery and oh, it's probably configuration, discovery. Yeah, so that's not it. Hmm. Where'd the one go that we were looking at? Are there more clues? Sources. So this is their Angular, but that's part of
University of Oregon also has it below.
Okay.
You view
let's
online.
see if theirs can make a little more sense. Thanks, Victoria. As much as I love meandering around things on recorded calls. Oh my heavens. Clearly I was nope, trying to do something on this a long time ago. Okay, so dang, it must be in a J, it must be a JS. It must not be, yeah. So they've got, let's see, it's a long, let's take a look. Angular, Evo. So they have some script that is acting on the page. So let's see what it is. And what might it be called? Okay, so full view section content. Something about get it. Okay, but it's something in the full view section. So let's see if we can't find that. Okay, what was it? Dash. Okay, let's try get it. Let's try view. A lot. Yeah, so it's somewhere in these functions. Okay, document loaded. Timeout. Scroll to this is all commented out. Don't want overview or review. There we go. No. Number input. URL input, email input. List direct. Yeah, so you can see a lot of the UX changes that I think most people would say are an improvement or wouldn't care either way are things that need to be shared, because if one person were trying to do this, it, it's so much work. And so I know people have this shared out somewhere. I just don't know where. I have another idea though, if this doesn't pan out. Okay, hold on. Let's try this. Where's my listservs? Listservs. Primo. Now let's search for view it. Okay, so moving terms of use. Ha ha ha. There's always an easy. Okay, so this person is trying to put the terms of use link right underneath. This is the nope. Let's see what this is. That's an idea. This availability. That's quick links. Electronic port. This is a good one too. Yeah, people do it. Worst case scenario, sometimes I just reach out to the college that has the thing and say, how did you do it? And since this is U of O, and I know their stuff might be in the Orbis Cascade toolkit. Let's do one more search in there. Here's some of the styling things, which is a great tool. I'm not sure. All right. This Hathy Trust Availability is an add-on that is available in Primo Studio. So you can add it really easily if you want to test it out. Cover image. Well, shoot. Yeah, I think I, in this case, would reach out to the libraries and try and find who might be able to share how they did that. And who do we want? Could be.
Why not Margaret at the top of the list? She's listed as core systems. She's second line.
Oh, Margaret Alexander. Yeah. I feel like they've got someone whose title I can't remember at the moment, who does let me see if I can't find like someone with discovery. Yeah, here we go. Nope, that's the dean. Oh, it's down at the bottom. Okay, so it's not discovery. Is there another systems person if I spelled it right? Okay, yeah, okay. Okay. Gonna email her. But yeah, so one of the things that I would like to eventually work on is kind of what Carly has here with the listing of what's in all of the tabs, and also like really what best the best practice, I guess, is on some of these configurations, especially the first one, the general tab, because that has these attributes have changed considerably just in the last year or so. Yeah, Tamara might know it as well. Bobby put in chat Tamara from Orbis Cascade, although she and I have spoken before about when some of the colleges do customizations, like she just can't keep up with everybody's. So she doesn't even really know anything about like libkey troubleshooting, because her scope with the consortium is just so different than what a systems librarian might typically be concerned with. But yeah, I'd like to kind of create something like this for us, including a style guide, which someone else has. I think it's in the. So if you see, there's like, providing documentation like this. So style guide plus configuration guide, so that kind of the best use examples are easily referred to for everyone in our group so that we can have good consistency across the state. But we would have to get together regularly and talk about our primos and compare them and see what most people are doing and whether or not that needs to change. And yeah, I'm just not quite there yet. So anyway, it's 12:08. I hope that I've been able to show you some of the places where those customizations live, how to find them, how to find potential code for them, what can help with accessibility as well as usability, and that maybe, you'll have an idea and we can test it out in a test view for you. As soon as I do the final sandbox refresh and we have all 3 of them updated and fully functioning, I'll be sending out like a big announcement of like, sign up, sign up, sign up. Let me know if you want access. And then Bobby and I will be setting up those accounts to give people access, and recording also like how they are, like how those sandboxes are configured so that when we do things in there, we know what we're changing it to and from. So anyway, is there anything in Primo functionality or look and feel that I can show you here in the last few minutes, or maybe we just get lunch?
Carly, not really a question about the overall look of Big Ben's Primo. However, I just noticed I have no reports for Primo usage.
That might
Uh,
be a permission thing.
mm, I can see it, but there's nothing under that at all.
Oh,
Yeah, go into
yes.
analytics.
Can you show us the pathway that you followed? That was my question too.
I had some of those weren't great, and so I hadn't copied them yet to a shared folder, so I can do that. But let's go to, let me get in. I'll use Big Bend. I will share again. And then I will copy the ones we like. Okay, so it's analytics.
Yep.
Access Analytics Primo. It's a fairly new area, so it's just not as populated. I have these saved in my folders. So do we like the availability facet usage one?
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna copy this. I'm gonna go to catalog. I'm gonna go to shared folders. I'm gonna go Primo community, reports, and we are so far down. There we go. And oh, really? They should have saved it. Okay, hold on. Okay, we're gonna copy, paste, and then okay, Primo actions. This one's a little dense, but it kind of shows you the top actions that have been used for the last 4 years. Copy. Okay, and then resource type. I like this one. Copy. Okay, so we have Primo actions, save list, resource type, availability usability facet. I feel like there's one more. And Primo facet usage. Okay, so if you navigate to shared folders,
Right.
Primo community, reports, and whack click, then you will see these 6, and then you can do copy.
Copy and
And-
paste them over into Big Ben's. Okay.
Yep. And then you can put them in your reports, which is indeed empty.
Mm-hmm.
So there's Primo facet usage.
Thank you.
But yeah. So the Primo stuff is just I feel like they didn't have analytics through Oracle for Primo until Primo V, because Primo back office was a totally different platform, and so it didn't pull in the same way. And so there just isn't as robust
Okay.
kind of existing stuff yet. But it's definitely getting there.
Okay.
Like the availability facet usage and the Primo facet usage, or no, resource type facet usage. These are ones that I totally had like someone else built. I couldn't have built them, because if you look, these are facet selected is like a form, like, yeah, there's a filter on it of prompted, which I would have been like, wait, what? And the facet type. Anyway, yeah, it's a whole thing.
Okay. Thank you.
Mhm. So yeah, but you can definitely play around with these and create some more. But they don't have a lot yet. Somebody, I don't remember who, did an analytics talk at it was like analytics and Primo at Eluna, and they showed how they used a third party like user path capture software and uploaded that data into analytics visualization for Primo and did some cool stuff, but they had to use a third party UX testing software to capture the, like, because the thing is, you can't tell based on this if someone selected a facet, deselected a facet, chose a different facet, restarted a search because they didn't like it, like, it doesn't really tell you as a true story of what's happening. But and you can always get rid of or change the year. I don't like to look at 9 years worth of stuff or whatever, so I didn't. So yeah. Anyway, so yes. So those are available now.
Thank you.
I will also share the PowerPoint that I used. And yeah, in the Bobby, in the Primo actions report, there the action include all of the different citation tools, and in the report I grouped them into one bin. So if you want to look more in detail at your individual ones, we can do some different filtering and just look at those. So yeah, entirely possible to see if no one is ever using export to RIS or EasyBib. Yeah. And I think one of the things to really think about in getting rid of options is people mistakenly click on things all the time, and a few usages over a year does not a user make, if that makes sense. So, intentionality is, decent sized numbers, or at least percentage of usage. I believe they're doing a little bit more around like session data, but I'd really have to play in analytics to figure it out. Welcome back, Linda. We did find a little bit of CSS that made some difference in the size of the results compared to the facets. And so like everything got a little bit bigger, but we're still looking for the title size thing. So, but yeah, so, yeah, play around with Primo Analytics. Let me know if you want help building a report.
Carly, kind of still with Primo, but do you know, I saw on one of the listservs that people were saying that the new discovery experience user interface is going to require some CSS redoing, and I don't know if you've heard any of that.
Very possible. I have been trying to find like actual official information and not just scuttlebutt. And Ex Libris just hasn't put anything out that's actually useful information. Like it's all very like, will improve user experience. So cool, looks pretty.
Yeah, because I haven't found anything there.
Yeah, I'm waiting for Igloo because they're supposed to have a more detailed presentation then. Developers Day for Igloo is free. And so I registered for that because I believe there's a session on UI. And so
Yeah,
I'm
I think it's
hoping
the
to
last
catch
session of that day.
Yeah, so I'm hoping to catch that. Yeah, and I mean, like early adopters will have a chance to be looking at it, I believe, as early as this November. And then it won't be a mandatory rollout until late 2025. So I am hopeful that more information is coming soon. But great opportunity to go in and clean up your CSS if it does need adjustment. So.
To register for Copenhagen, is there any special thing I would need to know?
No, if you just go to, it's just the Developers Day. And let me find the link. I'll pop it in chat. So here's the registration. And if you click on the register at the bottom of that page, and then it says attend the event virtually, and then you create when you click on virtual, it then says what are you registering for, the conference or Developers Day? And if you select Developers Day, it's entirely free. And it just says register your account, and then you get the confirmation.
Yeah, I don't need to put anything in for the Igloo membership ID.
Nope, because we're not members. Yeah, because the regular conference virtual is only like 125, or yeah. So I was thinking about it, but really that's just giving you access to it at the time everything gets posted afterward for free anyway. So yeah, but I figured Developers Day.
Yeah, I just registered, so I'll be there with you.
Yeah, so yeah, because I was looking at, I've got another window full of the what I've been looking for. That's Yeah, I had a bunch of links that I found having to do with the new UI. And I just can't find it now. But I've definitely done the search a number of times. So
That wouldn't cause any problems with libkey, would it?
no, libkey is
That's
in it's a
itself side of it, right?
script. It's a script in JS. So unless and I think I've only worked with 2 schools to do any CSS on styling the libkey links. Um so however, about 2 years ago there was an Angular JS update that did require that certain JS, if you were using a script for your facets, had to get updated to the new Angular version. But again, I really hope that they tell us what's going on since, like Primo's built on Angular and Bootstrap and all kinds of various code types. But yeah, I haven't seen as much as I would have liked, giving us a good heads up um, on what exactly is changing at all. So, okay, I'm trying to close some windows.
And
But
I just want to let you know that Wave,
mhm.
when I installed the extension, it said that something about it may be going away from Chrome because it's not that it's not compatible. There's a problem with it in Chrome.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, so there are some other ones. What so there's also Accessible Web Helper um that I use. And that one has a page scanner, a color contrast checker, and the page scanner is pretty similar to the Wave one. So it's interesting that, like, if it doesn't work with Chrome, what does it work with? So yeah, so hopefully this has given you some ideas, and we will, continue to revisit Primo customization throughout the year, and hopefully take on some kind of best practice documentation so that we have easy access to code snippets for things like putting the view it link above the share links, since I can't seem to find it anywhere right now. And I don't know if I've ever feel like I found it once, but anyway. All right, well, I'm gonna stop the recording.